What up, everybody? Welcome back to Jayfabe Wrestling, and we're doing a little bit of a different video today. We're gonna look at 25 wrestlers that should have won the world title in the WWE/WWF. When Sami Zayn won the title, it got me thinking about actual wrestlers that actually didn't get a chance to become world champion and definitely probably should have. So yeah, I have around 20 to 25 wrestlers I'm gonna go through. And first off, I'm happy for Sami Zayn because I think he definitely deserved it, to be honest, in like 2017 as a baby face, and then even 2023, his feud with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, he definitely deserved it. He was super over. Even WrestleMania 40, I felt like instead of him winning the IC Championship against Gunther, he should have won the world title against Seth or Drew McIntyre. So I felt like he definitely deserved it, and I'm glad he finally was able to win the world title. But yeah, this got me thinking about the many wrestlers that never got a chance to win the world title. And I have a lot of wrestlers here that I want to talk about, and I'm going to discuss potentially when they should have won it, when they could have won it, and why they actually needed a run. So yeah, let's get into it right now. All right, let's get into the list. So the first person on the list is Roddy Piper. So yeah, I'm actually going in chronological order here, so I'm not really ranking, just to make it easier. And where I would have Roddy Piper win it, I would actually have him win it at the War to settle the score in 1985. So this was just before WrestleMania. And as you guys seen my WrestleMania booking, I did have Piper versus Hogan for the WWF Championship. I think it would be good if Piper actually came into the show as champion. So he was super over as a heel, and I think he might even get more buy rates just for the fans to see Hogan get his title back. Just the amazing trash talking Piper did. And this would make sense in the storyline in terms of Paul Orndorff can help Roddy Piper win the title, and Mr. T can, say he's going to take care of Paul Orndorff so Hulk Hogan can win the title back at WrestleMania. And yeah, this is just again, Piper, he never really wanted a reign, I'm guessing, because he never wanted to lose cleanly. So that might be a problem here, but we tell Piper, hey man, we're giving you the belt and you're defending it at WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, against Hulk Hogan. Maybe he'll agree to lose cleanly to Hulk. And yeah, I think, again, him not having the title at this period, since he was probably one of the hottest heels in history, is just unfortunate. So, and it's an easy change here. It doesn't really change much in history, and WrestleMania still goes down. Hulk Hogan, Mr. T celebrate at the end after Hulk Hogan reclaims the belt back. But yeah, Roddy Piper definitely deserved to become WWF champion at some point. All right, next up I have Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and when I would have him win it would actually be the Saturday night's main event, or the main event is what they called it, in 1988, February 5th. So that was when Andre the Giant defeated Hulk Hogan, and then Andre sold the belt to Ted DiBiase. So in real life, we all know that Jack Tunney did not allow that to happen, and instead the title was vacated and put up in a tournament at WrestleMania 4. But the only change I would have here is actually Ted DiBiase does get the belt. Because, again, maybe there's just... You could even do a match where, like, Andre lays down to make it official. We could do whatever it is. But, yeah, Ted DiBiase does become the WWF champion. And I would actually have Jack Tunney say, you know what, Ted, you are the champion, but you have to defend the belt at WrestleMania 4 in a tournament against 16 other guys or 15 other guys. So yeah, we keep everything the same here in terms of the WrestleMania 4 booking that I have, and I would just have Randy Savage defeat the champion in the finals. So Ted DiBiase gets to the finals, but he loses to Randy Savage. And I think this does a lot of things. First, Ted DiBiase, again, one of the most over heels at the time, gets a cool championship run. And it's something we never seen before, where like Andre, basically passes the belt over to Ted DiBiase. So I just feel like the heat of that would be amazing just for Ted DiBiase to brag that he has the championship, he has the money, and I feel like it makes Savage's win a little bigger that he actually beat the champion and not won a vacant belt. So yeah, I would have Ted DiBiase win the championship from Andre the Giant at the Saturday night's main event, 1988. We could have like Andre pretend to challenge Ted DiBiase, and then yeah, he could lay down for Ted, and Ted becomes the WWF champion. All right. The next person I have on the list is Ravishing Rick Rude, and I would have him win it at SummerSlam 1990. So this is one of the ones where I'm not really sure if he should have won it, but just knowing that Rick Rude never won a world title in the WWF does get me pissed off. So I would actually have him win it. Doesn't really make sense because Ultimate Warrior just won the belt at WrestleMania 6, so it really might kill his momentum, but you know what? Let's have Rick Rude still win the belt. And the tough part is he does leave before Survivor Series 1990. But there is the main event. I believe it's the main event 4. And that Ultimate Warrior defended the belt against Ted DiBiase there. But I would actually have Ultimate Warrior regain the belt from Rick Rude there. So it doesn't really mess up much of the timeline here. I would still have Ultimate Warrior defend the belt against Randy Savage at WrestleMania 7. So it doesn't really change much here. But it just gives Ravishing Rick Rude a chance to win the belt. And him with Bobby Heenan by his side, I think it'll be some good television there with Rude, being extra arrogant just because he is the world champion. And yeah, I feel like also Rick Rude and Warrior, they had a nice feud going on with Warrior defeating Rick Rude at the SummerSlam, Rick Rude defeating Warrior at WrestleMania 5. So yeah, we can kind of continue the feud here and blow it off. And it doesn't really hurt much. I feel like Warrior regaining the belt back again doesn't really hurt him that much. And yeah, maybe it might even help him because, the fans kind of got tired of Warrior. But I think him chasing the belt might be a little bit better. And yeah, he could regain it again at the main event 4 that took place October 30th, 1990. And yeah, go on with his business and defend the belt against Randy Savage. So yeah, Ravishing Rick Rude, I feel like definitely should have won the world title. Let me know what you guys think about that. All right, next up I have Jake the Snake Roberts, and when I would have him win it, I would have him win it at SummerSlam 1991. So as y'all know, Ultimate Warrior, he regained the belt from Rick Rude, and he defended against Randy Savage, and I would have him retain, and he would fight Jake Roberts here. They had a bit of a conflict going on anyways with, I believe, Jake Roberts locking the Warrior in a casket. So yeah, there's definitely some build here. And yeah, Jake Roberts at the time, he was one of the most over heels as well, just very sick, very twisted, but he didn't have to scream at you. He talked very low, and you felt him. And obviously, this was known for the show where he gifted Liz and Macho Man a snake for their wedding, so we could still do that as well. But yeah, I would actually have Jake Roberts defeat the Warrior here, and the Warrior, he was also on the way out with everything going on with him and Vince backstage. So I think this is an easy switch. Jake Roberts, he gets to win, and in the timeline, yeah, he could defend against Hogan, and they could do that whole dusty finish, and it can again lead back to the Royal Rumble where Ric Flair would win it. So yeah, I think again Jake Roberts, he actually never won a belt in the WWF, I believe. So he definitely deserved the world title though, man. Like this guy, he was one of the most over faces, and then he became a despicable heel as well. And yeah, he was also again on the way out, so I think he deserved a run before he left because he was doing some of his best work here. And it's an easy switch, basically I would not have the Undertaker win because that was kind of pointless. Like the Undertaker, he could win it anytime. I felt like Jake Roberts, it's his time to win it, and yeah, it doesn't affect the timeline at all. Even have Randy Savage be the one to cost Jake Roberts the belt against Hogan, and yeah, that becomes a whole problem. So yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts definitely deserved to be WWF champion. All right, the next person on my list, I have Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. Yes, Mr. Perfect. Again, one of the great wrestlers that never won the world title. He was amazing as a heel, but I would actually have him win it as a babyface at the Royal Rumble 1993. So I would actually have Ric Flair not lose to Bret in Saskatoon. I believe Bret deserved a better win, to be honest. And yeah, going by Ric Flair, I feel like he believed Bret didn't have great chemistry. So I just felt like it kind of like was a little bit of an underwhelming title win. And Ric Flair is on the way out at Royal Rumble, so easy to drop to his boy, Mr. Perfect. The build is simple. Mr. Perfect can say he's tired of, doing all the dirty work, and Ric Flair claiming that he's the greatest when he's the reason why he won and kept the title for so long and turned on Bobby Heenan. So, yeah, I think Mr. Perfect could probably be in a Survivor Series tag match with Flair, and Perfect can cost him the match. And yeah, that builds the dissension. And yeah, obviously Ric Flair was leaving at the time, so Mr. Perfect gets the big win here. And as you remember in my rebooking, I had him drop it to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9. So again, this makes a lot of sense for Perfect to win it. And yeah, I think he could have a solid run as a babyface as well. He could do a couple open challenges to see like who's perfect enough to beat Mr. Perfect. And he could have a good run with it, and culminates with him dropping it to Bret. And it's pretty full circle because he defeats Ric Flair, the guy that he's helped win, and then he put over Bret Hart, a rival that he had previously. So yes, Mr. Perfect definitely should have been WWF champion at some point. All right, next up I got Lex Luger. Yes, Lex Luger. I would have him win it at SummerSlam 1993. So Bret Hart would drop the belt to Yokozuna at King of the Ring. And then Lex Luger would defeat Yokozuna at SummerSlam 1993. We all know that this match did happen, and Lex Luger won by countout, and the balloons, confetti came like he actually won the championship, but he did not. So, yeah, I just think, again, Lex Luger, he was pretty over at the time, and I guess after this, he kind of fizzled out. So this was definitely the best time to give Lex Luger the win, and yeah, just transition from Bret to Lex, and I would actually have Bret Hart regain the belt again at Royal Rumble 1994. Then obviously he defends it against Randy Savage at WrestleMania 10, and we can continue that booking from there. But yeah, I definitely think Lex Luger, he was pretty over at the time, and he's definitely one of the ones where I feel like WWF dropped the ball. Um, yeah, again, when he celebrated the countout victory versus Yokozuna, that was pretty much his character, just being thrown out. It was done. He was cooked, and yeah, there's definitely a way to fix this. Is to give Lex Luger a nice run. And Yokozuna, he was a great heel, but he didn't deserve such a long run. I felt like it kind of got a little tiresome. So Lex Luger winning it and then dropping it to Bret Hart again, I think would be a cool story arc, because we could turn Lex Luger heel in 1994. And I think, again, his character in 1993, it was pretty over, but by 1994, it definitely needed a change. So him dropping it to Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble in 1994, and then turning heel, I think would definitely save his character, and yeah, save his whole WWF run, because his WWF run was a disappointment. And I guess the biggest disappointment was the fact that he never won the world title. So I feel like I'm fixing Lex Luger's run here, and yeah, giving him a world title. So yeah, Lex Luger definitely deserved to become WWF champion. All right, next up, I got Owen Hart. Yes, Owen Hart. So I have Bret Hart defend the title against Randy Savage at WrestleMania 10. And I would actually have Owen Hart defeat Bret Hart at SummerSlam 1994. Again, Owen Hart's character, he was really hot at the time because, yeah, he was just a different kind of heel. He wasn't like a dastardly heel, but he was a heel that, again, you could feel the emotion from him, and you could kind of actually understand his emotion and why he's so angry all the time and why he's so jealous of Bret Hart. So it makes a lot of sense here. And yeah, I definitely think 1994 SummerSlam would have been the right time to do it. And yeah, they had a great feud. They had a great steel cage match. And yeah, Owen Hart could kind of weasel his way to winning the WWF Championship. And yeah, again, he is one of the great workers that never won the WWF Championship. And yeah, looking at later years, he could have won it in 1995, maybe against Diesel. But then by 1996, I don't think there's any chance of him to become WWF champion again. So this was definitely the time to do it, and doesn't really affect much of the timeline because you could have Bret Hart either regain it back at Survivor Series, or even when Diesel eventually wins it, he could probably win it off Owen Hart rather than Bob Backlund. So either way, there you can go. And yeah, again, Owen Hart, he did his greatest work in 1994, and I definitely think he deserved to be WWF champion. All right, next up, I got the bad guy, Razor Ramon. So, again, he definitely deserved to be WWF champion. He was one of the most over guys in the new gen era, and there's actually a few times where he could have won it. So, remember I said Owen Hart won? He could have lost it to Razor Ramon, and he could have then transitioned it to Diesel. So that could definitely be an option. Another option where I think I would prefer more is Razor Ramon winning the King of the Ring 1995 and then defeating Diesel in a face versus face rematch from SummerSlam 1994, and getting a little bit of a run with it. Yeah, I mean, again, in 1995, Razor Ramon was super misused. He was kind of just stuck in the IC title. He had a feud with Jeff Jarrett, and then even at SummerSlam he had the rematch with Shawn, but that was more about Shawn getting his win back. So I think this would have been the right time to pull the trigger and have Razor Ramon defeat Diesel here. And yeah, obviously in 1996 he didn't stay much longer, so he definitely deserved a title run for being one of the most over faces and most underutilized face, especially considering the fact that they pushed people like Mabel at SummerSlam, and even like Sid and Tatanka. They got to main event pay-per-views in 1995, but Razor Ramon was stuck on the undercard, even though he got the loudest crowd reactions on the show. So yeah, Razor Ramon, I would have him win it, and then actually I would have him drop it to the next guy who I'm about to talk about right now. All right, the next guy I have is the British Bulldog. So yes, I would actually have the British Bulldog be the one to take the belt off Razor Ramon. Again, the Bulldog, he's one of these great workers here, super over as a face, and he was pretty good as a heel here as well, working with Jim Cornette. And again, I just feel like in 1995, they didn't have like the big stars, but they definitely could have made a lot of other stars like Razor and even here British Bulldog. And yeah, again, it doesn't really affect much because I would just have British Bulldog drop the belt to Bret Hart at either Survivor Series or the last In Your House in 1995. So, and then Bret could obviously defend it at WrestleMania 12 as well. So yeah, I think again it would be really great to see more stars get a chance and opportunity to win the belt, especially 1995. I feel like that was definitely the year to experiment and again allow different wrestlers who put in the time in the company to get a chance to win the WWF champion. Since there's no main top guy, Diesel was being pushed as that, but obviously it didn't work out. So I feel like this is a great time to hot potato the belt, give people that deserve it a shot to be world champion. And yeah, again, British Bulldog, he's a legend in the UK, he's a legend in the WWF. And yeah, I think this would make sense because he wouldn't really get another opportunity. I think 1996, Shawn was ascending, so we couldn't really take the belt off him. And then, yeah, by 1997, he's already out of the company. So this is definitely the time to do it. British Bulldog, he definitely should have won the WWF Championship. All right, the last guy I have for this video, we're just going to keep it to the 90s and then we'll do another episode later on, is Big Van Vader. Yeah, it's Vader time. And he debuted again in 1996 in a very dominant way, attacking Gorilla Monsoon. And yeah, he fought Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 1996. And that's where I would actually have Vader defeat Shawn Michaels. Obviously, we know Shawn does all this politics and all that stuff. And he was, seen to be very aggravated during the match. But none of that flies here. I'm doing what's best for business. And Vader, he's a bad man, and he definitely deserved to win the WWF Championship. And this was the time to do it. And yeah, I would just have him again. He won 2 times on that night as well by disqualification and count out. So it's ironic that he didn't come out as WWF champion. But yeah, just have him win cleanly here. Dominate Shawn Michaels, win cleanly. He was super over as a heel. He had Jim Cornette by his side. He had Cam Cornette with him. So yeah, definitely Vader deserved a run. And the timeline won't really be affected here because I would actually have either Psycho Sid defeat Vader at Survivor Series as a face, and then he can eventually turn heel on Shawn Michaels, and Shawn can win it back at the Royal Rumble. Or Shawn could get it back at either Survivor Series or Royal Rumble. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, Vader definitely deserves a run. And again, in my rebooking, I gave him another run as well because I had him drop the belt to The Undertaker. So he could even hold it all the way through. But for this, I like Sid defeating Vader as a face because he was super over at Survivor Series, and then he turned heel on Shawn. Shawn wins it back, but obviously he has to vacate it. Vader wins it at Final Four and drops it to The Undertaker. So Vader would be a 2-time champion in my alternate universe, and yeah, he definitely deserved it. So yeah, Big Van Vader, he wins the WWF Championship. So yeah, guys, those are the stars of the 90s. Again, that I definitely felt should have won the WWF Championship. 80s and 90s, actually. So I have, again, Roddy Piper. He should have won it maybe at the War to settle the score in 1985. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, he should have won it at Saturday's night's main event, 1988, after either Andre relinquishes it to him or he lays down for him. I would have Rick Rude win the title at SummerSlam 1990. Jake Roberts, SummerSlam 1991. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, Royal Rumble 1993. Lex Luger at SummerSlam 1993. Owen Hart at SummerSlam 1994. Razor Ramon at SummerSlam 1995. The British Bulldog at In Your House 3. And then Vader at SummerSlam 1996. So yeah, guys, let me know if I missed anyone from the 90s that should have won the title here. Some come to mind. I'm thinking maybe Ken Shamrock, but again, he was kind of in the Austin era. Maybe like Nations, Dominations, Farouk, Ahmed Johnson. But yeah, it was definitely tough to find where they would fit in to win the belt. And even the early years, Ricky Steamboat, his timeline, it was really tough to get him to win because even when he returned in 1991, he was gone by Survivor Series. So, yeah, again, let me know if there's anyone I missed. And the next episode, I'll cover wrestlers that should have won from 2000s to present. So, yeah, guys, again, I appreciate the love and support. Again, congrats to my boy Sami Zayn, even though he just lost to CM Punk. It is what it is. But, yeah, again, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.